Welcome to PNRShow, Season 4, maybe? Episode 20. I'd rather not, Radler not.
You want to take two on that?
Take two? All right, right. Okay. Here we go. Rewind. We'll fix this in post. Welcome to PNRShow, Season 4, Episode 20. I'd Radler not. I still didn't do it. That's harder to say. It works really good in my head.
Take three. This is the good one.
All right, this is a good one. Everybody quiet on the set. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 20 of PNRShow. I'd Radler not.
I'd rather have lager than life. I'll take a strong start over strife. I'd prefer to confer with a half pint of ale than live a long life till my private parts fail. For life without liquor is to no avail. So bring me lager for life. Have you ever had that not so fresh feeling? Well, Gary has a yeast commercial for you. Gary, got your yeast commercial ready? No?
Yeast is a key ingredient for
Watch it.
the beer that we're going to drink tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're brewing anything like beer or cider, you want to have some yeast.
So yeast is good in this case.
Yeast is good in this case.
All
We
right.
don't like the
Let that be a lesson to all you listeners out there. Welcome to the Pint of No Return Show. Your one cap stop. Your one cap stop. I'm almost like Keith.
You want to take that again?
Yeah. Welcome to the Pint of No Return Show. Your one-stop shop for beer, buds, and basic inanity. Yes, we are, as you can see or hear, without Mr. Jeremy tonight, who is traveling the wilds of the Great Northwest. But joining me is Gary and Keith in a post.
And Leo.
And who?
Leo.
Leo, the cat.
Oh, Leo the cat. Hi, Leo the cat. Welcome to the our post-solar eclipse world. We live in a world where the solar eclipses happen. Now, granted, solar eclipses happen a zillion times before and a zillion times since, but we Americo-centric people believe that if it happens here, that's the only place that really matters.
That's right.
Because this country was eclipse fanatics this week.
It was kind of annoying. I mean, it was really, I don't know. It got to be a little too much.
I enjoyed it. It was a good bringing together of people over something non-political.
My wife was
that's true.
My wife went out there with my sister-in-law. They looked for a minute. They're like, well, that's it? Yeah, I guess that's all. Now, granted, we were not in the new catchwords of the week, by the way. We were not in the path of totality.
Mm.
My parents took a trip up to Idaho to be in the path of totality. So they got the full solar eclipse.
Yeah,
That's
I guess
awesome.
it was pretty wild to be in the path because the amount of overpriced hotel rooms and just people stopped on the roadsides and traffic in general was just pretty crazy through the center of the country there.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you guys did. I watched it a couple of times online in different locations. One of the really cool things I saw this week was NASA put out a satellite image showing the shadow of the moon passing over the United States, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
saw that GIF.
cool. It was pretty neat. But Keith and I are now prepping for 2024 because the next solar eclipse will be happening in the United States in 2024, and the path of totality runs from Austin, San Antonio, up through Dallas, which we can easily reach from where I am, up through Buffalo and up and over the Lake Ontario, very close to Keith's part of the world. So
very close. We are in the path of totality.
Yeah. So
Rochester is like a degree off. Buffalo's dead on.
So tune in 7 years from now for season 11, episode 20, and we'll be talking all about our eclipse experiences.
Now, mind you, as eclipse-centric as we are, that's not the next eclipse.
No, that's just the next total eclipse, right?
Yeah.
That's the next one we'll see from America.
Correct.
There's one
Right,
in Asia
right, yeah.
in
That
just
doesn't
2
matter.
years.
This happens
This-
quite. I mean,
Just 2 years.
it's not like it happens every day, but it's not infrequent.
No.
Yeah.
2019, they're going to have it through parts of Asia and a lot of the ocean.
And we also have what they call annular eclipses often too, where the moon, the distance from the Earth to the moon is so great that the moon is appears small to you, so it still passes in front of the sun, but it doesn't block the sun completely. It's like sits in the middle of it. So we'll have one of those, I believe, in a couple of years. So, but it was pretty cool. We were a bit crazy about it this week. Everyone was running around with their eclipse glasses and, warning people not to fry their eyeballs and not to take eclipse selfies because they'd burn out their phones, and it was quite crazy. But the world did not end as many people feared.
And
Kept going.
Jeremy,
Still here,
yeah, or feared or hoped for, either one.
right?
Jeremy took some pretty awesome shots. I don't know if you guys are following him on
Yeah.
Instagram, but he posted what was, I thought, a really cool idea was a family portrait during the eclipse. So the family was lit with flash, and you could see the sun and moon above them in the sky with the
That's
corona.
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's very
and,
cool.
and he had some cool shadow pics too. He did. So
Nice.
he was doing some nice photography.
Cool. So I mean, we're astronomy files here on the Pine of No Return show. Any kind of space stuff is very cool. By the way, speaking of space stuff, did you gentlemen see Elon Musk debut the SpaceX spacesuit today?
I did not.
Yeah, it's very passenger-esque. It's not so much like an astronaut's traditional NASA astronaut outfit. I mean, it does have a helmet on it, but it's really kind of more of a jumpsuit with a helmet on it. Because I guess Elon figures if there's a problem, there's not really much you can do. So why waste the time, energy, and weight on extraneous spacesuits?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now.
Yep, pulling it
So
up.
it looks like a pretty durable material, but yeah, not as much gear attached to it as a typical astronaut suit.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looks like what the 1960s thought space suits would look like.
Much better helmet too, I would say.
It's kind of got that concave all over kind of, you can kind of see which is important when you're paying a couple $1 million to take a tourist ride. You can.
Do you think they could actually do EVA in that suit?
No.
Why not?
So it's just a flight suit.
It's just a flight suit.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't look thick enough to insulate for, actually out in space.
I don't know. You might be surprised. Doesn't have to be a lot, especially when it's fully contained for the human body to be able to heat it up. So I'm thinking you could probably EVA in that.
Let's see.
What'll be interesting is to see if he's got like sensors and stuff in there hidden, hidden better than NASA does, because NASA's very utilitarian.
All right, it does say on the Elon Musk's Twitter feed that worth noting is that this actually works, not a mock-up, already tested to double vacuum pressure.
Yeah.
It was incredibly hard to balance aesthetics and function. Easy to do either separately. All right.
We'll see. It looks cool. I mean, I think if he's going for commercial flight and
sure,
that kind of stuff where you're taking tourists and those kinds of people up, then this is probably a good idea to do. It will reduce the weight and all that kind of stuff in space.
And for this, this is just the first part of his program. I mean,
right.
He makes enough money, or it's as popular as it is, the next step he may go to would be a spacewalk-worthy suit. This is just the beginning, I would think, for him.
Yeah.
So anyway, very cool. All right, so you didn't come here just to talk about space, although I'm sure you found that interesting. You came to listen to us drink beer and maybe enjoy a beer at the same time yourself. So the gentleman and I have brought with us
Okay, this is the point where I'm going to interrupt you because I didn't think about this until just a few minutes ago. But I think since Gary's also going to do his catch-up on the cider we did on last show, we should have Gary do that first. I think he's going to want to have that before the Radler.
Sure. That's really big.
Well, I mean, you don't have to drink it all if you don't want. If you're not a man.
Wow. It's a cider. It's not a man's drink anyway.
Perfect point.
All right, so Gary, what are you going to drink first? Gary has one beer and one cider to catch up with us on.
I think we should do the beer first because there's a good chance I'm not drinking this anyway. Just
because. Have you got two catch-up things, Gary, or just the cider to catch up on? I'm confused.
No, I'm looking at this and thinking.
Oh, okay. So you want to do that first?
That this is not a good idea.
Right. I know you're going to love it. I bought this with you in mind.
So I'm thinking of washing it down with the cider, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So what we've got.
All right. So we're back to where we're. Take two. We'll start over.
So what we've got is from the folks at Moosehead Brew, a Radler, which is a refreshing blend of beer infused with a hit of natural fruit flavors. It's fruit flavoring, it should be noted, not all natural ingredients.
The can says juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there is juice.
Juice concentrate. Grape juice
concentrate,
and
sugar, grapefruit juice, lemon juice, natural flavor. Estrogen.
All right.
There's some spices in here too, I believe.
So it almost sounds like a kind of a Frankenstein, whatchamacallit, shandy.
It is. Well, if there's groupings of like beer mixes, a shandy would be in the Radler family.
Okay.
Shandy would be a kind of Radler.
So I open this up, and it immediately, the aroma, it smells exactly, tell me if I'm wrong, it smells exactly like a squirt soda, citrus soda.
Yeah, no, very grapefruity.
Either that or some of the house cleaners that we have.
Uh-oh. It's going to be a bad night for Gary.
Yeah, this is very grapefruity on the nose.
Yeah, this is 4.0% alcohol by volume. And Moosehead is from where? I'm assuming, or is it a product of Canada?
Canada.
Which part, do we know?
Brewed and canned by Moosehead Breweries in St. John, NB, Canada.
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick, yes. Ported by United States Beverage LLC in Stamford, Connecticut.
All right, so you've got a very cloudy brew here. It looks exactly like a lemon shandy would look if you pour it. That very light yellowy color. Very thin head on the top.
That was a good call.
Yeah, it smells just like a squirt.
If it tastes like a squirt, it'll be better than I'm expecting.
All right, are we ready?
Let's chug it.
All right, Prost. Wow, that is a lot of sugar. That is a lot. I mean, I'm I'm doing a diet thing and working on getting to almost 90 pounds lost now, and so because of that, I don't get sugar really much anymore. So when I do get it, that is a hit, man. That is pure sugar, dude. Whoo.
It is very reminiscent of a soda, a grapefruit soda.
Oh man, it does taste like squirt. It really does.
Yeah,
it does. It tastes like squirt, but no, but just not right.
The squirt that's turned, perhaps.
I actually I would rename this juice with a little beer in it.
I'm surprised it clocks in at 4%. I would think that this is much lower.
There's more beer in there than you think, which tells you how much sugar is in there to cover it up.
So obviously, considering the sugar content in here, the concentrate was added after
Well,
fermentation process.
Yeah.
well, no, it wasn't
they
brewed
might.
with this. This is a mix. This
Yeah.
is like a
Yeah.
shandy.
Yeah.
It is beer that has been blended with
Infused.
And they started with
a good
started with
shandy
Moosehead.
is 50%, beer, 50%,
Wow.
lemonade.
Mm.
Where this is beer, it's got mostly grape juice, and then they actually added sugar right on top of it. So
It tastes like diet squirt, not even real squirt.
Oh no.
Is there a diet
There's a
squirt?
lot of sugar.
No, it has that
folks.
sweetness, but then it's got that diet soda aftertaste in it.
That's the ester gum coming through.
My lips are all sticky from the juice.
Skip my review.
I love that band from the 80s, Sticky Lips.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I go for the best. So those are our first impressions. We'll continue to give you some thoughts on the beer as we go through the episode, and finally end with a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, Keith. And
thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. So you'll know if you should pick up Moosehead Radler. But
I can tell you now.
I can tell you right now, I wouldn't hold out much hope. Not unless you got a massive sweet tooth. So, by the way, I'm coming to you from the calm and quiet of the Houston area, but in a day or so, I may be off the air forever because tropical storm and/or Hurricane Harvey is going to be bearing down right over the top of us, which is going to dump anywhere from 15 to 24 inches of rain in our area.
That ought to put the gator right in your backyard.
Maybe. I haven't seen him in years, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've done more than one episode of this show with you in a middle of a storm, Rob. So it's kind of a shame that we're going to be between it, and it'll probably be all done by the.
We'll see. It'll probably just have concluded by next Wednesday. So I'll give you a full recap.
Yeah, maybe we can get a tour of the aftermath.
Yeah, there you go. Tonight on the Pint of No Return show, we are doing an all picks show. Woohoo! We are bringing you look forward to and celebrate our half pint segments where we bring you our picks from around the world that you should try out. Well, we're giving you that 3 times over.
Fans demanded it.
Yes.
More picks, they said.
It was demanded. Look, Gary's wife is demanding it right now.
Right now. She wants him to pick something else.
Very demanding, yes. So what each of us has come with, we've come with 3. We have an app and a podcast. Each one of us has one of those 2. And a wild card that could be anything. So Lord only knows. We'll leave the wild cards until last, and we will start with our picks for app this week.
Beer and juice.
Okay, I'll let Gary go later on because he's having a conversation.
Well, he's having conversation. His wife is sampling the beer.
We have a guest contributor this evening.
Yeah, she's not going to get on camera.
No.
She
what's the review though?
A very puzzled look on her face. Tried to figure out what it was, and she got the grapefruit right away, but she said it's definitely beer and juice, and then took just to confirm that, and then set it down. So
and walked away.
Good for her. Yeah, this is what's remaining in my glass. So, okay, so Gary, are you ready with your first pick? We're starting with apps.
Apps, yeah, I got an app. My app pick is Google Translate. There's been, Google Translate gets maligned a lot on sometimes because its translations are not always accurate, and you can come up with some funny things. But I used this when we went to France earlier in the summer, and it was very good. It actually helped me out mostly in doing things like translating menus or signs or things like that. We were in I'm losing the name of it, but it's a big palace garden area that's right in the middle of Paris that everybody knows the name, and they're laughing at me because I can't remember. But anyway, there's all these statues of these famous women around, and they have little plaques on them, and of course I couldn't read them because they're French. So I walked up with my phone and held it over it, and it got the translation in that situation close enough that I understood what the statues were. I wouldn't have even known who they were or why they were there, but then I saw that and read it. So it did a really good job of assisting in those kinds of situations. I'm not sure you would trust it to like translate something that was really important, like legal documents or things like that. But as a tourist, just trying to get a sense of what a sign would say or what they were even talking about or what something on a menu was, it did a really good job. And it literally, you just hold the camera in front of whatever you're trying to translate, and it changes it in real time on your screen. It was very cool and very efficient and worked really well. So Google Translate is my choice.
We've gotten to the point where 4 companies are basically going to do everything in our lives. Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple are going to just be able to complete every single process in our lives.
Well, and I think Facebook's got some catching up to do because they're dropping out. They're becoming the Sprint of the cellular
to the
world.
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
To the BlackBerry.
But the voice
I'm moving on to
the voice recognition stuff is really, really picking up. So that's very cool. All right, Keith, what is your app?
My app is called Strava. If you follow me on Facebook or social media, you may notice that I've been doing a lot more bike riding lately as I'm trying to get into some better shape and build up some endurance. And I used to use, when I was riding before, I used to use Runtastic's road bike app, which is okay. It does the job. But enough other people were kind of recommending the Strava one that I gave it a try. And I really like it. It's pretty good. It does all the basic stuff you need. It gives you, a map of where you went, tells you how fast you did, elevation changes, calories burnt, stuff like that. But it also just has a really, really strong social community already built in. A number of people I didn't know were using this app automatically became my friends as soon as I signed up because it looked at my Facebook list and said, hey, you know these people are using Strava. And it just kind of connected us, and so I can see what they're doing, they can see what I'm doing, and we can encourage each other, and it's just pretty good. It'll let you track biking, running, or swimming, and I have no idea how swimming does, other than possibly with remote sensors, or maybe you just manually enter it. I don't know, but
Apple Watch.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure, an Apple Watch. That's probably how it's done. But it's pretty basic. You can get more out of it if you subscribe to it, but the free version is really all I need for now. So I'm pretty happy with it. That's Strava. It's an iOS and Android app.
So I might try that because I use Map My Ride when I go to work, even though it's the same ride every time I go.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It does the job, but it's made by Under Armour and has ads that aren't too bad. So I'll have to just do it as a comparison to see, kind of which one.
Yeah, that's what I did. I ran like the first few times out. I just started up the old Runtastic Road Bike Pro, and then as people saw me doing that, they said, "Hey, try this." So I just downloaded and tried it once, and it's easily as good as my old app, and the built-in social network is kind of fun. It's just a lot stronger, it seems to be.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I may use it on Friday.
Yeah.
All right. For my app, I've got a game for you. And that game is, you may hear the music in the background. That game is, back out, see if you can see it.
No.
Too bright. Damn. All right. That game is called Burgle Brothers.
Ha.
And it's based on a board game. And basically think of it as Ocean's 11 in a board game. You have a team of 1 to 4 fellow burglars, and you are either infiltrating a bank or an office or a Fort Knox type place, and you're trying to maneuver your way around this grid of tiles with walls in between, almost making like a maze. And rooms have many different types. There could be a room with stairs going up, or a room with a motion sensor, or a thermo sensor, and each of these rooms do different things. And you're trying to find the room that has the safe and then crack the safe. But while this is happening, you have an AI guard that's patrolling the floors in certain patterns, and you can see where his patterns are going to go. And when he gets to the pattern, or he gets to where he's going, he picks a new card and goes to the next pattern. So you can see where his path is, and you don't want to be in the path. Because if you do, you have to hide from him, and it uses one of your stealth, basically one of your lives. And if one of your burglars runs out of lives and the guard catches you, then you lose the game. So you actually have in this game multiple floors that you're doing different burgles on. So you can have different of your players on different floors at the same time, and each of those has a guard, and you're kind of maneuvering through the maze and trying to figure out the right way to not get caught, but to get the things you do. Sometimes you want to set off an alarm to pull the guard away from something one of your other characters is doing. It's a very, very cool game, and believe it or not, for a simple tile game, when you're turning over tiles and you're rolling some dice, there's a lot of some good fun tension involved in Burgle Brothers, and I think it's $5, which is on the more expensive side for an app, but it did just come out. It's very, very popular. Sorry?
It's reasonable. $5 is not unreasonable.
And it's got a very cool, what you heard me play a minute ago, very cool kind of Ocean's 11 type heist music app in the background, which is pretty cool. So I'm enjoying the hell out of Burgle Brothers.
Can
very
you go
similar.
Head to head with it, or is it just always against the AI?
No, it's a cooperative game. So you're playing together against an AI,
Okay.
and it doesn't look like it supports multiplayer right now. But you can, you can play around the same device, I guess.
I was going to say,
very good
I was
solo.
going to ask, can you like pass play a device?
Yeah, absolutely, you could. Yes.
Okay.
Might be good on an iPad.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm seriously looking at getting the regular board game, although it's out of print right now and it's a little more on the expensive side. But it's a very fun cooperative game, and cooperative games are very in vogue now because families don't want to feel like they're always trying to beat each other.
Right. No, that's
very, very fun.
Type of thing we're looking for.
So you're all a team of burglars and trying to get out of a bank and get to the roof and get to the helicopter and get out. It's really fun.
Yeah, that looks cool.
All right, so we're moving on next to our second category, and that is podcast. What podcast would you recommend to the minions, Gary?
I would recommend the Pint of No Return show.
You took mine,
Peter.
This is not a new show. It's probably everybody's listening to it, but the Daily Tech News Show.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
hosted by Tom Merritt and lots of other co-host guests that come on that show. It's great. It's a nice, concise picture of the news for the day. It usually, what's it, like half hour, 45 minutes, kind of in that range.
Yep.
And I like the in-depth coverage they have at the end of the show. They kind of go through the top stories, and then they talk about a single topic in depth for like the last, 10 or 15 minutes of the show. And it's always something really interesting that I probably wouldn't have read a complete article on, just finding the news myself. I mean, occasionally it's something I know quite a bit about, but they do some really great features. They talked a lot about security. They talked a lot about AI. They did a lot about net neutrality, in addition to covering some of just headline stuff. So it's a really entertaining, well put together, great group of people doing it, and the production is pretty good. Even though they have a lot of people that are coming on from different locations using different technologies, the production value is pretty good on that. So that is my choice, the Daily Tech News Show.
Yeah, that's a show I listened to since its inception. I followed Tom Merritt from the Buzz Out Loud days back on CNET to his time over with the Twit Network, right near you, Gary, in Petaluma. And then when he left there, I followed him out to do this, which is his own fully listener-funded show that happens every day, and it's really good. Tom is about the best at actually explaining some pretty technical stuff into right down to layman's terms. Better than a lot of other people that have been doing it a long time too. So Tom is great, and his cavalcade of co-hosts now includes some of my favorite people in podcasting: Scott Johnson, Justin R. Young, Veronica Belmont. So I mean, it's there's nothing not to like about it. If you're interested in tech news at all, that's really it's got to be a must-have.
Yeah, it's really good.
Awesome. All right, Keith, your podcast.
My podcast. Now that I can't pick Daily Tech News Show,
Or the Pine of No Return show.
Or the Pine of No Return show. Damn it, 2 have been removed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with a comedy podcast for you guys that you haven't heard. And actually, this one's a recommendation straight to you, Rob, because I would love for you to listen to this show and tell me this isn't kind of what you and I should be doing. But it's a show called We Have Concerns.
I've heard of it.
It's very, very high-end, well-produced audio thing. And what they do is they usually talk science and technology, but they do it as from the point of view of, it's a professional actor and a professional producer that both have aspirations to being comic comedians of a sort, at least. And they will go through some different recommendations every I think they put out 2 shows a week, 2 or 3 shows a week.
Looks like, yeah, 2. 3.
Yeah, it's pretty good. They're like 20 minutes.
They're short, 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, they're not bad. But they'll hit a topic that's recommended to them, usually science related, and it will be an in-depth look of that topic, but it's also the humor that goes with it. And the 2 of them literally will go from talking about it to an instant improv skit about it within and back and forth, and it's just really, really good.
Yeah.
And I have learned more cutting edge science from listening and laughing at this show than anywhere else I'm reading right now. So it's really, really good. I can't recommend it enough.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob, and it just feels like something you and I would do.
I have subscribed.
Just when we are sitting around, on the deck or something,
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing we just would happen around us, and these guys turned it into a show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'll love it.
Cool. Yeah, I've subscribed. Incidentally, I've just recently changed my podcast app from the horrible, crappy one that I was using, shall remain nameless, to Overcast.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So much better.
Yeah. Overcast was a pick on this show.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So,
took me a while to get it, but anyway, so after last week, I followed up with Jeremy's recommendation for his podcast app of Steal the Stars. And it's awesome. It's great. I'm really enjoying it. And the only problem is that it's currently being produced. So I have to actually wait for new episodes. So I buzzed through the first 3 very, very quickly. A great sci-fi kind of in the vein of Lost and maybe a little bit of Alien and kind of a covert ops Area 51 type podcast. So it's very, very cool. Right up my alley. So having gone through that and buzzed through that, I immediately started looking for other ones. I have a whole bunch of podcasts that I listen to, but none of them are really serial-based story fiction podcasts. And I really enjoyed Steal a Star, so I went and found a couple of others that I really liked. And one I've been recommending to the guys in chat, but I wanted to recommend to all of you is a podcast called Limetown. And Limetown was actually produced 2 years ago in 2015 by
sounds familiar.
Yeah, a production company called 2UP. And it was the most downloaded podcast of 2015. So they say out of all podcasts. It was so good that they only did 6 for the season, but it was so good that they immediately halted production on their second season and went and got book and movie television rights for the show. So there hasn't been any new ones for 2 years because they're holding everything in to get it ready for these other medium. So, to make their money and cash in, and who could blame them? So the basic premise of Limetown is that 10 years ago, there was a planned community in the mountains of Tennessee called Limetown, deep in the bed of a heavy limestone bed in the earth. And it was started by a multi-billionaire Elon Musk, Howard Hughes type. And he brought in scientists and people from all over the country and the world to live in Limetown to do some kind of experiments, social experiments, research, excavation. We don't know exactly what happened, because shortly after Limetown was founded, everyone in it disappeared. And no one knows where they went. And the story basically follows a young journalist whose uncle was actually one of the missing from Limetown. It's kind of a pet project of hers. 10 years later, she's doing kind of a retrospective on the events of Limetown and the fact that no one still knows anything about what happened to these people. And suddenly, survivors of Limetown start popping up. And she gets involved in this, and they involved with her in her story as she tried to figure out exactly what happened. So I won't tell you anything else because it's really cool to experience it on your own. Like I said, it's only 6 episodes. It's kind of like Lost. You get right to the kind of the crux of the story, and that's the last one. But I'd much rather listen to that and be wanting more than a crappy podcast and have too many of them. So.
What's the episode length, Rob, on that?
They're
minutes.
pretty short.
So yeah, 30 minutes. 6 of them. That's not too bad. It's pretty.
They range. Half hour seems to be about
half hour.
it. Yeah, it's right around that mark. Some more or less, but
23 minutes. Yeah, 20 to 25 minutes.
Okay.
So a car ride home, really. You can listen to an episode. In between each episode, there is a short little, almost like a PSA in the world of Limetown, where you might have authorities speaking to you or the head of the network that she works for, giving you a message about things you're about to listen to or things like. So it's kind of, the meta of the show. So, I mean, I hope that they either get the rest of the stories out in book form or in video media as they promised, because there is a lot of content there. And like I said, it was the #1 downloaded podcast of 2015. So clearly there are a lot of fans out there and that want more of it. So, but give those 6 episodes a try. It's really, really good. All right. So now all bets are off. We have no idea what's going to come out of our contributors next, because it's time for our wild card pick. What, Gary Hagenbart, is your wild card pick this week?
Oh, I go first all the time.
Oh, Keith, what is your wild card pick? I can go first.
Yeah, you go first. Gary and I have both
first.
gone first one, so why don't you go first, Rob?
All right, I will go first. Nicole and I just finished on Hulu watching The Handmaid's Tale, and I had been kind of reticent,
really
kind of reluctant to try it because it kind of looked like a girly show. But I am a huge fan of sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, alternative history type shows, and The Handmaid's Tale fits right in that niche. It imagines a world where basically the 99% of the population of women become unable to bear children. And so it causes a mass amount of world chaos. And in one pocket of the United States, they actually form their own country, and they call it Gilead. And in Gilead, those who can actually made into a servant class, a slave class, basically, and they're apportioned out to wealthy, powerful families with the express purpose of mating with the husband of that family to produce a child. The basic groundwork of the show. There's a lot more to it, but it's subterfuge and hidden agendas and all kinds of very cool stuff. Again, very much in the vein of Lost or other shows of that genre. My wife actually, after we finished the series, she went right in and started the book, finished the book, and it was nominated for, I believe, 13 Emmy Awards. Elizabeth Moss, who you might know from The West Wing and from Mad Men, is the star, and she's fantastic. Joseph Fiennes is in it, who's the Ray, you know, from Flash Forward. He's Ray Fiennes' brother. He was in Shakespeare in Love. And also Yvonne Strahovski, which doesn't sound like a familiar name, but she is the female lead from Chuck.
Yeah,
is also in it. So it's a really, really good show. 10 episodes. I think it's 10. And it's well worth your time. Very, very cool. On Hulu.
I read that book years ago, and I remember it being, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a
all
book
the
from the
details.
mid-'80s. Margaret Atwood, a book from the mid-'80s. But
I probably read it in the like 90s or something. But it was a very good and compelling and disturbing at times book.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the themes that come out of this book are very allegories about religion and roles of men and women in society and those kinds of things. So it's got a lot to say for today, which also makes it appealing as well. All right. So, okay, Keith, what is your wild card?
My wild card. I actually have two that fit this category, but I'm only going to give you one. I'm saving the other one for when Jeremy's back because I want to bounce this one off of him. So the one I'm got for tonight is kind of weird, but I have an astigmatism in my eyes. I have very oddly shaped eyes that cause all kinds of consternation when I'm getting glasses or contacts or anything like that. Generally, my lenses cost, a couple $100 each. Then you're looking at $100 frames or so, and so a pair of eyeglasses for me run like $350 easily. And so it's a thing I don't get for myself very often. I try to make them last as long as I can. Instead of going back every year, it's often every 5 years. And I happen to be lamenting this one day at the office when a coworker of mine turned me on to a new website, or a website that I didn't know of, called iBuy Direct. It's EYEBUY Direct.com. And he said he's gotten a bunch of glasses from there, sunglasses, prescription sunglasses. He says, and they're very, very reasonably priced. So not really believing him, but I happen to have my prescription handy because I had gotten sized for contacts not too long ago. I punched in the numbers on the site. I picked out a set of frames. I went through the process, and they told me that I could have a pair of glasses in about a week for $88 delivered. So I went and I said, well, they had a 14-day no questions asked return policy. So I said, well, I'll know in 14 days whether or not this is bullshit. So I pulled the trigger. I bought a pair, and I'm actually wearing them right now. They're a great set. If you can, I don't know, you probably can't see, but they're actually bifocals. So I've got my reading glasses in there and my regulars, and $88 had it all delivered. Now, granted, because I think they got a hold of my prescription and went, holy shit, it did take an extra week longer than they thought. It was about 14 days before I had them, but no extras or anything. They didn't question me or anything. They just eventually showed up. I checked on them after about a week, and they said they were still cutting the lenses. So they came up, and as soon as I put them on, it was like someone washed my eyes. My clarity went up instantly. I could see perfectly through them, and everything just came out way better than I expected. And I just can't believe how good it was. And so now my whole family is running out to get their own prescriptions from the eye doctor so that they can have them to go buy from this website. Because at like for my wife and daughter's glasses, they end up pricing somewhere around $60, which is even cheaper than mine. And for that price, they can buy a couple pairs, 3 pairs, or get a pair every 6 months or something like that.
And what's the website again?
It's I by Direct, where I is spelled EYE.
EYEBUY.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
make sure we got that.
yeah.
In the notes.
I had every level of skepticism about this. There was no way this was going to work. I was prepared to put them on and say nope and send them back and ask for my money back. And I haven't taken them off since. I put them on that night. I put my other glasses in the drawer, and this is all I've been wearing. They are amazing. At a third of the price of anything I've ever bought before.
Do they accept insurance?
I don't think so. You probably have to manually submit to your insurance.
Mm-hmm.
If your insurance covers frames and lenses, you'd probably be a manual submit.
Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't try because I don't have eye insurance. So.
Don't you work for an eye company?
I do, but they don't make glasses. They make. Let's say I don't work for them. I work at their facility, and they make contact lenses, which is why I got sized for contacts a little while ago, and why I had my prescription handy. But
God, when was the last time you had contacts?
About 6 months ago.
Oh,
there's pictures of me on Facebook and everything wearing contacts. They didn't fit well. I'm out of range for the company I worked for. I'm out of their range. Yeah. They don't make mine, so I ended up having to have a third party, and because of my astigmatism, they're a contact lens that has to sit just right for it to work, because if they rotate, I'm out of focus. And so every time I blinked, they moved. So I
have that problem now.
Yeah, I decided contacts were really not for me. When I'm sitting and looking at a computer all day, and every time I blink, I can't read the screen, that doesn't work for me. Yeah. So I abandoned the contacts, but I used the prescription I got to get these, and these are amazing. I'm hoping to go back and get another pair that are sunglasses shortly. Like I said, my wife and oldest daughter are already picking out frames, and they have an appointment to get their eyes checked so they can get their prescriptions and come back in like a week.
Very nice.
They do not accept insurance, Rob.
Yeah, I think you'd have to manually submit it. You should be able to submit the receipt and say, I got these here.
Yeah, it says if you have a flexible spending account, you can use that to pay for it. And
my current glasses are pretty scratched up. I should have gotten the scratch protection at the time, but I didn't. So
my current glass has cider in it.
Oh, what do you think of the cider?
How is the cider?
The cider is much better than the Radler.
Nice.
Interesting. I wonder what his impression would have been if he'd had the cider first.
He's appreciating the cider so much more.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Gary, what's your last wild card pick?
My last wild card pick is going to be a movie that I saw a week or two ago, Atomic Blonde. Not a huge blockbuster. It's like I said, not a huge blockbuster, but it doesn't try to be more than it is. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a gritty. It's a end of the Cold War era spy movie. It's set against the backdrop of the Berlin Wall coming down, and involves going back and forth and getting information and people across from East Berlin into West Berlin, and spies and double agents, and you're never quite sure who's working for who, and if they are really good or they're really bad. And there's a couple of twists in there that I wasn't expecting. There's been so many different spy movies and different twists on different things over the years.
Plus, my God, Charlize Theron.
Yeah, and she was really good in this movie. It was really good.
And I've heard the movie is set up perfectly for a sequel.
It is, but it stands on its own so well. I mean, it was like it was just it was this combination of a really good and compelling plot, a really good actress, people who lived through that era, understanding the context of the movie, and the production and the way they did it, sort of the stylistic elements of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
it just was done really well. The action and fight scenes, sometimes there was a little bit kind of too much blood, but if you watch Game of Thrones, and you're like, yeah, whatever.
Was it a rated R movie though? No.
Yeah, it was a rated R movie. I saw it with my oldest daughter, who was born well after the Berlin Wall came down, and she really enjoyed it. So she didn't quite understand the political context as much, although she knows history, right? She knows about the history, but living through it is different than reading about it in history books.
Right.
But yeah, it was really good, intense at times. There were scenes that were, you're kind of like sitting back in your seat going, oh, wow. There was just like the intensity of them. And the pacing of it was good. They opened up with some action scenes, and then they got into the story, and then they had some action scenes that maybe you weren't expecting. It was a very well done. I'm glad I saw it in the theater. I'm sure it's not doing a huge amount of money, but I think $73 million US is what they're saying right now.
Yeah.
And it's got a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is a little low. I would definitely rate this higher. It's respectable, but a little low. So it was good. It was not. I guess I went in with I went in with no expectations and came out glad that I saw it.
Yeah, this movie has been on my want to see list. But I'll tell you, and I guess I'm mirroring kind of the rest of America. I just don't go to see many movies anymore. I used to see just about every big movie every summer, and I've gone to see 2 movies this summer. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Spider-Man, and that's it. And I mean, holy cow, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I just saw today. It's already out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And it was just in the theaters. I mean, I guess I'll catch all these films on TV.
Our theater experiences have definitely gone down. Like we haven't gone to see a lot of movies this summer. And this one I wasn't planning to see in the theater, but my wife and other 2 daughters were going to see a movie based on a book that they read. And me and my older daughter were like, well, it's just, this movie's playing at the same time, so let's go. So it was kind of like that kind of decision. It wasn't like, oh, we got to go see Atomic Blonde. It was like, they're going, so let's might as well. And we saw it on a matinee. So it's just weird. I mean, movies are harder to get to these days.
Yeah.
And James McAvoy.
Or it's just not a priority.
Yeah, and it's expensive.
It is.
Our theater switched to these luxury recliner things, and everything is you pick your seat when you buy your ticket.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like plan ahead. Now it used to be
the spontaneity is gone of going to the theater with those.
And I really don't like
it's wonderful and bad at the same time. Yeah. I have the same problem. I can never, if I just decide on a whim on a Sunday afternoon, hey, let's go to a movie, I can't get seats together for my family. It's a bit of a nightmare.
It's really bad.
So we don't want to go. The other problem I have,
with the ability to
seats are so darn nice, I just fall asleep halfway through the movie too. So I could use something a little more uncomfortable to keep me awake.
Well, the ability to stream something really quality programs that you haven't seen before, it's just at home. It's just so easy. And there's such good stuff that, tons of series I've never seen, movies that I haven't seen. It makes it so easy just to stay at home and forget the movies, which is probably why the paradigm has shifted and all the good stuff is now on TV.
Yeah, a lot of it is. It's where the audience is.
All right, so let's recap those picks again. So Gary, for his...
I had... you want me to do it? Or are you doing it? Okay, I'll do it. So my app was Google Translate, my podcast was Daily Tech News Show, and my miscellaneous was Atomic Blonde.
Awesome. I'll go next so that Keith can go last. My app was Burgle Brothers. My podcast was Limetown. And my wildcard pick was the television show from Hulu, Handmaid's Tale. Keith. Close
I
us out.
had the app Strava for exercise. I had the podcast We Have Concerns. And my wild card pick was my glasses from iBuyDirect.
Awesome. All right, and let's finish out this episode 20 of the Pine and No Return Show, by rating our beers. The Moosehead Radler. I will go first and let the gentleman close it out. This beer, I think it's just a change in my palate over the years. I really do try to stay away from sweet things, and this is just it's just like drinking straight fruit juice. It's entirely too sugary. There's hardly any taste of beer at all. It's even way sweeter than a shandy should be. If I want fruit juice in, that kind of mixture in the beer, I really would prefer a more sour palate than sweet. I think it just tastes better and it complements the beer much better. So I'm going to give this a 2. I did not enjoy it very much.
Wow.
I didn't finish it. Wasn't that pleasant for me. Just way too sweet. So, Gary,
You were very generous, Rob.
with my 2.
Yeah, it tastes like a juice, but it tastes like a rancid juice. Yeah, everything that Rob said is true. It's way too sweet. It doesn't taste enough like beer. They started with Moosehead as the beer, which is right there, first mistake. And then they added like these concentrate juices. So I think if they'd have done something maybe a little bit more fresh with the juice and not some sort of like chemical concoction that they thrown in there that tastes like juice, it might have worked out. But we can't give zeros, right?
You can do whatever the hell you want.
1 to 10 is usually what we've been doing, but you do what you feel is right.
I'm gonna go with a 1, just because I think if our scale is 1 to 10, then a 1 would be the lowest, right?
All right. So that's a 1.5 rating so far. Keith, what will you do to this rating? How will you apply your considerable skills?
This is a beer I sent out to you guys, and I'll be honest, it's landing exactly where I expected it, because this is a beer I had one of out of the 6-pack, and I said, I've got to send this to the show. This is complete crap. And
thank you for that.
Well,
it's a sabotage.
We don't get a lot of crap, and I think we're weighted towards good beers a lot because we tend to research and find good beers. So every now and then, I think it's good to bring our average rating down a little bit. And I actually did that a couple times in this pack I sent out, and this was one of them. This beer is a 1. I found it to be exactly like you guys said. It was way too sweet. The fact that they use concentrated juices is a good point, but the fact that they use concentrated juices and the third ingredient is sugar, straight up sugar. They poured sugar into the mix.
Yeah,
I'm surprised from the taste and the fact that there isn't like a glistening slime coat on the bottom of the can, where you would see like sugar crystals forming. The one redeeming quality it has is, I think, on a hot day, if you were to hand this to a child or a person who doesn't drink beer regularly, they probably wouldn't realize it wasn't a soda, and they still might. They still might throw it back at you. So
now we have done sweet beers on the show before. It's been a long time since we've done a lambic. But we have done them, and they are by nature very, very sweet. But there's a difference there. So I don't want us folks to think that this is in the line of a lambic, because it really isn't. It's a manufactured sweetness. It's like an American pour as much corn syrup as you can into a type of sweetness.
No, they use actual sugar. But yes, I get your point. The thing is too is Radlers in general are kind of on the rise, as the shandies are, and you can get good Radlers that are made with like 50% beer, 50% juice and possibly some spice in there or something, and it makes a really interesting beverage. But like the shandies, I find them best made yourself.
Yeah.
From a recipe, not pre-canned. The pre-canned stuff tends to suck.
Yeah.
Rock Brewery in North Carolina on the trip that we took over the summer, my wife had a craft brewed Radler that she loved. And I mean, although I'm not a big fan of grapefruit, I did taste it and it was very, very good. Not this manufactured sweetness. So
yeah.
But applause to Keith, props to Keith for trying to keep the show honest, maybe cleanse our palates, so to speak, from all the great beer we've been drinking lately.
Yeah.
Now the trick is nobody tell Jeremy, so that when he gets back next week, we get an honest,
even better
unfiltered opinion.
Even better, we should tell him that. Even better, we should tell him that we all loved it.
Yeah. We need to set him up because I want to see his face.
We should tell him we loved it.
Yeah.
We need to tell him it was awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to try the Radler.
Oh yeah, so rate the cider real quick.
It was much better. It was much better than the Radler, but I kind of spoiled because the last ciders that
Dad drinking cider? Cider's my favorite.
Yeah, my I'm kind of spoiled because the last ciders that I had were in England, and they make really good ciders, like really good.
It's pretty good.
And this doesn't stand up.
Yeah, it's kind of watery.
And it's so yeah. My family's saying it's kind of watery compared to what we're used to. But it's not bad, and I think that the Radler really messed up my palate. So because I'm looking at your guys' ratings that you had last time, and you guys averaged 8, and I would give this more in the range of a 6. I'm very biased at this point to cider, so.
Well, that's fair enough, and it's not like I think the home of the cider is England, so of the hard cider.
Yeah.
So that's the point. I do like the Blue Toad. That is you weren't here, so that is hyper local. That is made with from apples that are picked about 2.5 miles from me.
Oh,
so
that's
that
really
is
cool.
Super local to me.
See, that bumps it up a point right there.
Yeah, and that is of their 3 non-seasonal varieties. That is the one I like the most, which is definitely a lighter one. They do make an amber, which is more like a traditional English cider. So I may grab some of that this fall and send it out again and see what you guys think of that one.
I will finish this, unlike the Radler.
Ha! All right. So maybe stay away from the Radlers, but our apps, podcasts, and wildcard picks for this week, definitely give those a try. All right. That's going to wrap it up for Season 4, Episode 20 of the Pine No Return Show. Come join us next week. I don't know if we haven't obviously decided on a beer yet for next week.
Well, we got to wait and see if everybody shows up. If everybody shows up, we've had one in the wings that we're waiting on.
Yeah. All right. So for all of us here, this is Rob, Keith, and Gary signing off. Rather have lager than life. More take a strong stout over strive. Prefer to have fine avail. Yeah, you heard it all before. So thanks again. More beer. Good night.
There you go.
At least it was.